Suzuki Ichiro is a programmer who is working a death march, along a few other good coworkers, to keep up with a nightmare combination of unreasonable deadlines and unreliable coworkers, as well as understaffing. After crawling under his desk for a nap, he wakes up in a combination world of the two games he was working on before his nap, with no clue how he got there and what is going on. He discovers that he is younger and that his name is now Satou, which was his beta tester handle. He is set upon by a horde of monsters while he is getting his bearing, and that is when he realizes it is not like a regular dream he can feel pain, but his inside knowledge and powerful ability saves him, and he sets out to the nearest city to set a base of operation and figure things out. He arrives at the city after saving a knight named Xena from a wyvern. He registers as a merchant and goes to an inn. There, he meets the daughter of the innkeeper, who brings him shopping for supplies. He also eats plenty and wakes up the next day to find Xena waiting to show him around the city as a thank you for saving her. Satou and Xena make their way around the city, and it is history, sharing cute moments and food. They stumble upon a scene of 3 demi-human slaves about to be stoned to death by the citizens. All of this was incited by a demon possessing a slave trader. As the demon emerges, something happens and it ends on a cliffhanger. Satou is with the 3 demi-human slaves in a dungeon conjured up by the demon, which they have been transported into. He discovers that more people are somewhere in the dungeon as well. Satou helps the slaves by giving them clothes, food, healing balm, and weapons so they can help him take on the monsters, and they make their way to the others as the girls level up. Satou makes sure he gets separated from the group when the demon appears again so he can put on a disguise, keep his identity and powers hidden from everyone, and kill the demon. Before the demon dies, it summons a demon lord and Satou has to fight it too. He cannot wield the holy sword yet because he does not have the title hero, so he kills it with the divine sword since he has Godslayer. They return to town and he decides to keep the 3 slaves. Satou meets another Japanese person. This one, Arisa, has been reincarnated and through a series of events ended up as a slave. He buys her and another slave named Lulu, who is a descendant of a Japanese person as she has black hair and Asian characteristics linked to Japanese. He buys them food, and while they eat, he goes out to buy them clothes and more food, which he gives some of the food to other demi-human slaves he saw on the way back to them. He brings the group to the inn, but unfortunately, they do not have more rooms available. They do have a bigger room, so they upgrade it to a room with 2 beds, and the other 3 sleep in the stables after Isa. He also has to deal with Zima the next day after a misunderstanding. With 5 girls now in his care, Satou needs to find more permanent lodging. While he hunts for a new place with Xena, the girls go shopping and they meet up later as he goes to the market while waiting for more options for places to stay. They go see a play and were about to get food when the city is attacked by flying ants, and the girls and Satou spring into action to protect it. Later that evening, Satou goes to find medicine for Lulu as she is not feeling good and stumbles upon monsters and a wounded stranger that mention the manager's name of the real estate place he went to earlier. He brings the stranger there. Satou finds out that the were-rat knight Mais, the stranger that he rescued, was carrying an elf princess named Mia, and that the manager has a connection to her. Satou goes camping with the girls after he decides to buy a cart and 2 horses. He also goes to practice with Lulu with controlling the cart after getting it since Lulu knew how to. He comes back to find that Mais is finally awake and learns that Mia had been kidnapped by a dark sorcerer and held in a place called the Cradle until she escaped, and with the help of Mais, tried to find the manager for help. The sorcerer sent the army of flying ants after the duo, and this was why the city was attacked. It finishes with the blackbird that had been following Satou transforming into a creepy-looking undead sorcerer who is the same one after Mia. Satou stands between Mia and the undead sorcerer whom he discovers none other than Zen, the figure in the play he had watched earlier that week. Zen fights them a bit, but manages to kidnap Mia again and Satou follows. Zen is surprised he was able to follow and sends to the first floor of what looks like a proper game dungeon. Satou makes his way up, encountering a dryad who helps him by giving him mana through a kiss. He eventually makes it back to the boss floor and faces off against the remaining homunculi that have been powered up as Zen watches. Satou defeats the last hurdle pretty easily after Zen disappeared with Mia. One of the homunculi asks him to grant their master's wish before he leaves to find Zen. He finds out that his wish was to die and be reunited with his wife as he is tired of being the god's pawn as a justice-seeking undead king. His intentions were never to harm Mia since he had an escape plan ready for her when the cradle collapsed after his death. Satou kills him and rush off to save the 7th homunculi left on the lower floor, then reunites with everyone outside. The 7th homunculi joins his group as the others go to bury the wedding ring of Zen with his wife's body. Satou then makes preparations to leave the city to bring Mia to her village and says goodbye to Xena. The journey to return to Mia's home begins, giving Satou the experiment with the item box, his and Arisa. He also experiments with spellcrafting and other functionality of this fantasy world. They stumble on the ruins of a gate and meet with the other were-rats as well as mice. The journey to take Mia home continues. When they arrive in a town, Satou runs straight into a plot by the local nobles. They are trying to disrupt their deal with the Witch of the Forest of Illusions, but Satou is onto them as he learns alchemy and other skills that could prove useful on their journey. Satou has to deliver on the deal made with the nobles, technically the count, but he is away so the nobles are taking advantage to take the forest as their territory. He makes the bottles needed to store the potions in a kiln, but they are raided by the henchmen of the nobles. Fortunately, Satou has time to make the switch with stuff from his inventory/item box. He has to find a way to cool them down safely. However, as the kiln had been destroyed by the henchmen, so they cannot do that there. He uses Arisa's item box and spells to finish cooling them off on time. He also contacts the witch through her familiar, who contacts the count because he knew that when he made the delivery, they would try something again. The count arrives just in time and also takes those that were taking advantage of their position and titles in custody. The group is finally able to move on after saying goodbye to the witch and her apprentice.